I just want to clarify some of the points. I don't think I explained it as well in the last video, but why I think Elon was Julius Caesar. Okay, I think it was a few lifetimes ago, so I don't think it was recent. I think he's done a lot of changes and he's a different kind of person now, but he's still a crowd pleaser. Julius Caesar has some good traits, wanting to please the crowd, even if it meant doing things that are wrong. But technically, if the public didn't see it as being wrong, he was loved for it, and it was accepted, and I feel like there's a whole crowd of like kind of not necessarily evil people, but just evil-ish people, people that would make documentaries and stuff, but then just add in loads of lies and then make kind of like cheap documentaries for YouTube, only to there seems to be a whole army, and I think a lot of these people probably are in fourth, fifth, sixth life. And well, if they're in fourth, sixth life now, it's highly likely that 2,000 years ago during the Roman times, they were in their first, second, or third life, and these people would have absolutely loved going to the Colosseum to see people be murdered. They might have even wanted to go to war themselves or whatever, and couldn't because of being forced to build some buildings in. They made some really good architecture in the Roman age, but yeah, it was done through slavery or forced labor, so there's a lot of misery, and I think people loved the games because it was a chance to get out of the strict the building that they were doing, and the sort of forced labor. So that they saw this as their opportunity to as you like watching a football match, only it's far sicker, but because people were living their first, second, third life back then, they were more similar to an animal. When you're an animal, you're programmed to kill. That's what you're programmed to do. If you're a hyena and you see a fox or something, you kill it, and that was what you are programmed to believe is right and is what you need to do, and it's programmed in you that this is all righteous, and you do it because you need to. And then when you become a human, you still have these needs and these tendencies, and I think part of being a human is to recognize that this is wrong and this is murder and you shouldn't do it, and the rules were trying to keep people oppressed from not wanting this stuff. And I think when someone was like, what, they want it, I'm going to give it to them, I'm going to make them love me because of it. I think in the Gladiator film they make out that that it's the warrior that won the crowd, and okay, she who I think is now, although I also think Mike Tyson, I keep getting an image when I see Mike Tyson, I keep getting another image from the Gladiator video, the Gladiator film, where the general who became a gladiator, he was fighting. I guess there was two sides. You had the barbarians, and then you had the people that were supposed to be the ones that were most likely to win. And I think Mike Tyson might have been one of the ones that were most likely to win. I just sense that I keep, I get a strong vision of that. I keep seeing a guy who looks very builded, very built and very well done, and I link it to that, and because he hasn't done a fight in 20 years, and I'm seeing it now, and I'm seeing, and it's happened at the same time that I happen to be constantly seeing the trailers for the new Gladiator movie. I didn't explain that. I just sort of said trailers. The trailers for the new Gladiator movie that's just come out, and then I saw the old Gladiator movie 2 weeks ago, and then I'm also thinking that there's another thing on the news which was about the torture. Some horrible women seem to have tortured monkeys for the sake of pleasuring people. Well, not pleasuring, but for people's enjoyment. And the news mentioned a couple of the comments that people were saying, hurt them, heal them, hurt them, heal, or something like that. And it is how people react to things like this is really sick, and it's really horrible. But how they didn't mention too many of the comments, but from what I was gathering that most of the comments would be probably similar to what they would say if in the Gladiators, you're scaring them. These people don't want to be there, but we love seeing them be there, and I just it just, that kind of reminded me what they were doing to those monkeys, kind of reminded me of what gladiators used to do. And I just feel like, why am I keep seeing this gladiator link? There seems to be quite a lot of gladiator links. And yeah, I felt like, there's a whole evil crowd that is kind of growing, and just, it's not necessarily evil though. It's good and bad. People who are living their sixth life have a lot to offer. They might be good filmmakers, or can have good abilities to make films, that they just need to stop lying about exaggerated claims or things that they don't necessarily know, or one-sided views. There's a lot of people in the media who aren't bad people, but they do promote one-sided views, and I can say that it's horrible to lie and you shouldn't lie, but at the same time there is good and bad in everything, and sometimes these lies are deceiving people. I'm sure I'm seeing a lot more videos made up about the rapture and stuff like this, and I feel like someone's paying them to do this. But there's also a bunch of talented people that are creating these false rapture videos just to get people excited about the rapture, and there's a lot that's going on, and a lot of people are doing lots of different things, and some people are good and some people are bad, because they don't realize that what they're promoting is sick, and therefore I feel like Elon has a huge crowd. I think with Trump, I mostly associate his crowd with being people I don't really like, because he plays the religious card, and he plays the against a ban abortion, and he's very much like just supporting a lot of things that I don't agree with. The whole old ways are the best ways, and that's pretty much the their party group, sticking to old ways and going back to what God wants, which is what God wanted in the past, when I didn't want any. Our past was horrible, and yeah, I did. There's I think people who face Kamala, there's definitely a massive divide in America. Kamala, I think, was a very good representative, and I feel like she's she represents a good modern woman who's intelligent, and yet Trump's party, haha, they don't see it at all. I've heard so many rapture believers just insult Kamala as if she's got no brain, and they're very, very rude, very, very insulting, like saying that she's not even as intelligent as a monkey, like just like crazy stuff. And I'm just like, why are you saying that? I mean, if you would say that about her, then you would easily say it about me, because my ability to speak words properly isn't quite as good as hers. So if you're thinking that she's as intelligent as a monkey, then you'd probably say the same thing about me. And yet you'd worship Trump, who literally just lies, and he does it in a good way, though. He doesn't in a good way. He does it in a way that they want to hear it, because it sounds like them, and he's very good at blending in with the group. And I don't know who. I haven't had any visions of him, but I definitely feel. I'm definitely feel. I feel like the more I think about it, the stronger I feel about it. That Elon was Julius Caesar. I felt like I just had a vision there, actually, of him going like that with the brown armored guard on or something, and black hair, and looking different to how he looks. But yeah, I definitely think it's that's who he was. And I feel like the crowd of people who are living their first, second, and third lives, they loved him, and this same crowd is coming back now. And okay, they might be on their sixth, seventh, eighth life, so they probably have more skill now, and they probably are able to help him with the TikTok and Instagram videos, or whatever they're doing. Yeah, I feel like this whole crowd is like when you're waiting for these gladiator trials, I feel like this. I'm getting this sense that the people are waiting for this gladiator trial to start. Only that the trials would actually be to ask them questions like, what do they want to see, and see it. I hate animal torture, but CGI is quite convincing. And if there are animal torture videos, it's sad that they've happened, and I hope that I'd love to believe they aren't real. But yeah, if you find people who love these animal videos, or love these animal torture videos and like seeing these animals being tortured, I just feel like this is a perfect target for the people that I want to target. And and you know, I think back in the Colosseum time, it does remind me, you know, I didn't like seeing I don't like seeing people being murdered, no, but you can think about all the people that do like seeing people be murdered, and right, there's going to be a war and you're probably going to be killed in a horrendous way, and I'm not going to care, because this is what you were happy to watch and you were happy to support, even though some of those people were not doing it out of choice. And yeah, although I also have to point out that I feel like there is a sensationalism when it comes to torturing, or not actually torturing, but scaring. You know, I don't have the guts to actually torture you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw up loads of pictures of me pretending to, well, me doing this to you, and then I'm going to spread it around the public. And, you know, I've seen loads of images of torture in medieval times and stuff, and all the sick things that you do to the people. And I actually believe that a lot of these pictures are not actually things that happened, but rather were things that people were saying was happened so that they would control and scare the people. You know, we are going to cut your tongue off in lots of different pieces, into lots of different pieces. You know, we are going to do that, and then they'll draw lots of pictures of doing this, not because they actually did it. I'm not saying they didn't do it. They did do it. I hope they, whatever. I think they did it, but it might have only been to like one or two people, like far less. And I feel like to control the people, it wasn't necessarily about hurting them, but rather it was about telling them that people are being tortured, and they're going to be tortured if they stand out of line, if they do something wrong, if they're a slave and they run off. You know, part of this cheap labour or forced labour was more done by scare tactics, and therefore if there are a ton of things, you know, if the gladiator games was far less bad than what they're making it out, what the historic record is making out, I feel like that was done because it wanted to scare the people into keeping these slaves. And therefore I'm not saying that the gladiator rings didn't happen. I think it did. There's a massive Colosseum that was used for something like that, yes. But I also feel like there might be, you shouldn't believe what you read. Just because something is being said, that doesn't mean that it's the truth. And therefore, if there are exaggerations of how many people died, you know, I think ideally the fights, people were supposed to live, because they didn't want to just keep having to get new slaves. So I think ideally it was all about fighting with potential of getting injured, but most, like in the gladiators, a lot of them just got wiped out. And I don't think it was like that. But I feel like if historical records don't say it, I feel like they've exaggerated it to try and put fear into people to control them. So just like they're doing now, there's a lot of people that are making videos about I don't know, about women being raped and stuff, and this is how the Muslim communities can keep women locked in houses, because they're saying if you leave, this will happen to you, this will happen to you. And maybe it does. I'm not saying it doesn't. It probably does. I know it does. But there'll be an exaggeration of how bad it is because of this forced need to want to control people. And I guess it's easier to control women by saying things like this. But yeah, I strongly feel that is one of the reasons. And what other reasons? Yeah, I think that was what I. Things that I think there are similarities that Julius Caesar was slightly mad, and Elon comes off as being slightly mad, but also he's got strategy, and also I've heard his uncle married his wife's his wife's daughter from another person, and I feel like that's kind of an embarrassing relationship to be in. But if Elon was Julius Caesar, in the film Julius Caesar had a child with his own sister, so he himself did incest back then, but incest was kind of like a very normal thing back then. And I don't know, families tend to stick in similarities. If you want to know what you were like in your past life or in 2 past lives ago, it might be I think it's usually just your past life, But yeah, if he married his sister 4 lives ago, it's likely that, a lot of people did marrying within families, and I don't think he's been rich on all of them, definitely not. I think partly the reason why he was able to understand it, Julius Caesar, I think in the life before that, I think he did have a life of poverty. And that was why he was able to relate to the public so much, because he was feeling, their anger over it, basically. And then he was like, well, I agree with your anger, and I'm going to do this. And so, I definitely don't think that all his lives he was rich and wealthy and happy. I feel like there's been a mixture. But yeah, I feel like his audience too will be a mixture. It won't just be bad people. It won't just be good people. I think more Trump's audience and not really people that I like, whereas Elon Musk's fan base is mixed. It's mixed. I think there's some very talented people there, and I think there's some liars that might just enjoy the thrill of whatever. Is that bad? Is that good? I don't know. It depends on what kind of thrill. If you're making fake animal torture videos and showing them as real, and looking at how people respond so that you can kind of judge and assess them, I feel like that might actually be a good idea. And I don't want to give the idea of using real animal videos and just seeing how they respond, but technically if it's already been filmed, and you won't be harming any animal, the animal's already been harmed and it shouldn't have happened, and I don't support that. But I do like the idea of testing people and finding out who the good ones and who the bad ones are. And anyone that would watch an animal torture video and think, oh, give that monkey some more, anyone that would think that, I just think that is a terrible person. People who, there's a lot of Christians that think, I just want all the other people to die, all the Gentiles to be burnt alive, and therefore if they die and are burnt or go through a fire, I feel like part of that would be karma, and them wanting something sick to happen in their past life. And it's a terrible thing to happen, and I don't promote it, but if a person wants it to happen to others and then it happens to them, I wouldn't stop it because of that reason. And yeah, I just want to say that. And I want to say that the gladiators are about kind of like entertaining people and giving people what they want, but I feel like I want to use that as a way of testing people to find out what they want. And but yeah, I don't want animals to be tortured, but I do want to find out how people would respond to that. And most would be horrified and say, I don't want to see this, I don't want to watch this, that's how I would respond. I wouldn't even want to watch it. But yeah, if you do want to watch it and you do want to post, that's how you free speech is how you find out what a person's really like. So people should be allowed to say whatever they want, because that's how you're supposed to judge them, by what they want.